Murtz Jaffer back again with another Big Brother Canada 5 eviction interview, sitting here with Sindy with an S.
Hi guys.
Sindy, are you surprised to be sitting with me?
I actually am. I really am.
So I guess the first question is obvious. Are you sitting here because of the decision last week with the double eviction?
I think I'm sitting here more of how I campaigned in the last 2 days. Like, I knew that I was going to eventually go back on the block. I didn't have that big of a relationship with Dylan anyways. He didn't trust me, so I wasn't surprised that I was going to be on the block. But it was just the route that I took when it came to campaigning. And I think the route that I did end up taking was a little too late.
Who do you blame more for your eviction, the house guest that evicted you or Ika who sort of got in your ear to target Netta?
I think it's Dre and Bruno. That's the reason for my eviction. Dre did have the swing vote to keep me with both sides that I campaigned to. When I campaigned to her about voting with Kevin and Bruno, she didn't want to budge on that because she didn't want to go against Ika. But when Ika and Dimitri said they were okay with doing it, she also didn't want to budge on her vote. Ika wasn't getting in my head about the backdooring Netta. That was something that I already thought about and planned originally. It was more of like, would my alliance be okay with this? Would the house guys forgive me and understand that? So when Ika suggested it and when Kevin and Bruno did not reject the idea, I'm like, okay, so I should do what I wanted to do, but I just needed to, how do I make this look like it was an innocent play that, I was under pressure and I had to do what I had to do, which worked to my benefit. It was Bruno that was slightly in my ear that caused me to distrust Ika, because my gut instinct when I was put up as a replacement nom was to go straight to Ika and Dimitri and make sure I had their votes, but I didn't do that because the day before that, Bruno kind of got in my head thinking that, the reason why you're going to go up was because of Ika and this. So I think I went on a rampage thinking that it was Ika's fault that I'm on here, but it was kind of more Bruno, and then when it comes to voting, it was Dre.
I want to talk a little bit more about your relationship with Ika. In her goodbye message to you, she basically said that she voted to evict you. How did that relationship change? It seemed like it was so strong.
It was strong, and it kind of like still was, but on our personality level, it was like, if I knew that she was upset about something, I would leave her alone for like a day for her to calm down, and I would like kind of approach her and kind of deal with that situation. At this point, it was a lot of like, she's heard one thing, I heard another thing, and it wasn't until the day of my eviction that we sat down and we compared notes and we realized that we were both kind of just not seeing the same thing, and we did. Because we always got along, and on a game level, we were very close on that. But like, she obviously had her number one with being Dimitri, and then like Dre and William, she was really close to that. But our relationship was really, really weird. But if I just campaigned the night before and not the day of, I think I would have had the votes to stay.
You definitely aligned with Kevin and Bruno, from your season. Is there any part of you looking back that says, maybe I shouldn't have done that because, it might signal to other people that I'm playing with the people that I was in the house with last time?
Well, I never played with Kevin and Bruno the first time around, so it wasn't like it was a huge deal. But I think because there was 3 people from season 3, no one, even if I denied it to everyone, no one's going to believe that no matter what. But the thing was, I didn't pick the side. That's what made it tough, was I didn't pick Kevin and Bruno. I didn't pick Ike and Dimitri. I was in the middle trying to make those 4 work together. Well, I knew that I was safe with either one of them. But it was actually, the reason why I'm going home was because I thought Ike betrayed me in that sense, that I ended up just hanging out with Kevin and Bruno more that week, which caused people to go, okay, see, they are together, which then caused the reason why I was going home. So it was really complicated because I felt that both sides was just kind of like playing me in a sense. But I should have just stuck with my gut feeling, which is what I did for the entirety of the season. I planned out everything that I wanted to do, everything I wanted to say, how I wanted to portray myself. But then I think just being on that block and the stress of being on the block again reminded me so much of my season, and I think that got me a little bit out of control, and I should have like tamed myself a bit more.
You mentioned you didn't work with Bruno and Kevin the first time around. They didn't really seem to work together the first time around either. How did that change? Like, what was their relationship like this time?
I think in the outside world, like all 3 of us were pretty close. We crashed a fan's wedding together, so we had a tight bond. But in the house, I think Kevin and Bruno got closer together because they were in the same bedroom together, right? The blue bedroom, and then they were have-nots together. So they were able to build more of a relationship. While with me, I also felt like I didn't need to push it too much because I knew we were good. I didn't think that that was necessarily needed to be done while, you know, Ike and I in the outside world didn't talk to each other for a year. So that's something that I need to kibosh now before, you know, we start being personal into this. I never really hung out with Netta, and I wanted to build a relationship there. So because I didn't think that it was needed to prioritize Kevin and Bruno immediately, that's probably also a reason that, you know, people might have like think of whatever, but their bond is, I think it's based on like, you know, like Ike and Dimitri share the same bed together night one. That's where their bond got so tight. It's that first night, kind of like that immediate interaction, and like that's why it's like that.
You received one vote to stay. Who do you think that vote came from?
I think that vote came from Kevin. Only because the night before he told me that I'm not going to be a coward. I'm going to vote. But the thing was, they both said that they were going to do it. So to me, even though I even told Bruno, I want your vote. Whether or not I'm going to stay, I still want your vote. And to me, it's out of respect. So I may be wrong, but my gut feeling says that it was Kevin who voted for me and Bruno was not the one.
You're now headed off to jury. What do you think the dynamic with Netta is going to be like? Because I'll let you know, I'm dying to see it.
Really? I don't think it's going to be that bad. I think, you know, when she sees me, she's going to be excited. She's going to be sad. She's probably going to say, I told you so. But I think because she's such a strategic and logical person that she's going to understand what I did, because we didn't have a strong connection as my connection with Ike and Kevin and Bruno. So I'm sure she's really excited to see someone and just to rub it in, like how I would feel with the next person coming in. But, you know, it's different because the last time I went to jury with JP, I was able to kiss and make up. With Netta, I can't really do the same thing.
The veteran players didn't seem to sort of like work together the whole way through. Are you surprised that that didn't happen?
I am and I'm not, because the five of us did work together and we were off the block all the way up until this week. The other three vets were the one that we couldn't work with because they weren't even trying to work with us. It was more of like, you know, Dallas said that he hung out with the newbies to get information, but where was this information? We never got it. Cassandra kind of jumped around and caused doubt within the vets already, and Gary made final two deals with almost everyone. So for us, it was just like, we had the 5 out of the 8. That's pretty good. And I think the fact that the newbies also took advantage of vets being there, not only as fans, but they also saw them as players. They're like, I'd rather work with them than be against them. I think that helped with the dynamic of it. If it was a season where all the newbies were for sure, newbies stick together, we're going to go after them, vets, then I think that would have caused more of a divide. But because everyone was very receptive to wanting to work with each other, I think that's what caused it to kind of us going against each other.
You seem to have a really good relationship with Karen in the house, but her goodbye message sort of like indicated otherwise. What is your relationship like with Karen?
Karen. You know what? Like, Karen is a different type of person in the house as well. And like, I wasn't too surprised to see that message. And I'm sure when she looks back, she's going to kind of regret doing it. But she says that if I spent more time, you know, talking to her instead of talking to myself, it takes two to tango. She doesn't even try to have a conversation with me either. But when she does have a conversation, it was about her and her life. And I get it. And that's what it is. So you say that about me, but she does the exact same thing. So I just, to me at the time, I just didn't really even like, I think Karen was the one person I just didn't care to build a relationship with.
You seem to be in such a good position. So why are you sitting here?
Like I said, it's literally, I personally think it was the last 2 days and how I campaigned with myself, because if I just went with my gut feeling, the relationships that I built in this position that I've been in would have saved me. But I didn't listen to my own gut instinct and to my own thoughts. I let other kind of influence that, and that caused it. And that's what happened. Was this entire season I was going with what I wanted to do, with how I wanted to play, and I was in a really good position. But the one time that I doubted myself is the reason why I'm home now.
And almost done. What was your best move and your worst move in the house?
My best move was kind of aligning myself with people who wanted to be leaders and wanted to take control, so I can just sit back and be like, yeah, of course we should do this, so that I know how people think of me as a player, and I know especially the vets. So coming in, I knew what kind of my advantage was. I think my worst move was, of course, the way that I campaigned in the last 24 hours.
And finally, looking back, did you have a better experience the first time you played Big Brother Canada or this time?
This time, 100%. My relationships are a million times better. I stayed in the house consecutively longer enough to actually experience the competition, the luxury task, the fun task, and I was able just to have fun. I had more fun in 1 week here than I did my entire season. But I also wasn't on the block every single week, so I think that's a little bit of a huge difference.
Amazing. Sindy, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.